No, I actually like Caitlyn, and I'm just being
Right.
real and truthful. She has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions of eyes onto the W and onto women's sports.
Sophie Cunningham just dropped a bombshell that has the entire WNBA reeling, and what she revealed about Caitlin Clark will leave you speechless. In a league where speaking out costs thousands of dollars and silence is golden, one player just shattered the code of secrecy surrounding women's basketball's biggest star. The truth she exposed isn't just shocking, it's dangerous, and it reveals a side of the WNBA that they desperately don't want you to see. Caitlin Clark brought something to women's basketball that hadn't been seen in decades. Millions of eyes packed arenas, record-breaking television ratings. Some say billions of viewers discovered the WNBA because of her magnetic presence on the court. She was more than a player, she was a phenomenon. But behind the highlight reels and the mainstream media coverage, a darker reality was brewing, and Sophie Cunningham just pulled back the curtain on all of it. What Sophie revealed wasn't just another injury update or typical player commentary. This was an unfiltered truth bomb that exposes the relentless pressure, the impossible expectations, and the brutal reality that's slowly crushing the league's brightest star. When Sophie said those words, she wasn't talking about basketball anymore. She was talking about survival. And the implications of what she shared will change how you see everything. Sophie Cunningham has never been one to bite her tongue. And that's exactly what makes her so dangerous to the WNBA establishment. While other players carefully craft their words through public relations teams and stick to safe, scripted responses, Sophie chose the harder path. She became the voice that refuses to stay silent, even when that silence would save her thousands of dollars. In a league where honesty comes with a hefty price tag, Sophie has paid dearly for her truth-telling. The numbers are staggering. In 2024 alone, she's been fined thousands of dollars for simply saying out loud what other players only whisper in locker rooms. It started with a $500 penalty for a TikTok post that dared to call out questionable officiating. Just one social media comment, and $500,000 vanished from her paycheck. But Sophie didn't stop there. When she took her concerns to a podcast, exposing the inconsistent calls that were plaguing games, the league hit her with a $1,500 fine. $1,500. For most people, that's a significant chunk of change. For WNBA players, whose salaries range from just $64,000 to $242,000 annually, that fine represents 2 weeks of rent or a substantial portion of their off-season income. Think about that for a moment. The league is essentially telling its players that speaking the truth will cost them their livelihood. Most players would take the hint and fall in line. But not Sophie. When she went even further, accusing the league of outright favoritism, they slapped her with another fine. This time, they wouldn't even disclose the amount publicly. The message was crystal clear. Shut up and play, or we'll keep hitting your wallet until you learn. Yet, Sophie keeps talking. She keeps pushing. She keeps absorbing these financial hits because she believes the truth matters more than her bank account. That persistence, that willingness to sacrifice her own financial stability for transparency, has turned her into something the WNBA never expected. Their unofficial whistleblower. When Sophie Cunningham speaks now, fans know they're not getting empty speculation or attention-seeking drama. They're getting first-hand testimony from someone who's living inside the chaos, someone who's willing to pay the price to reveal what's really happening. That's exactly why her latest revelation about Caitlin Clark carries so much weight. This isn't coming from a bitter bench player or someone seeking spotlight. This is coming from a player who has proven she'll risk everything to tell the truth. For weeks, the biggest question in women's basketball has haunted every sports talk show, every social media thread, every conversation among fans. When is Caitlin Clark coming back? Reporters have pressed coaches, teammates, and league officials, all hoping for something concrete, something they could report with confidence. Instead, they've been fed a steady diet of vague non-answers that only fuel more speculation. Day by day. We'll see next week. No update at this time. These aren't updates. They're deflections, and fans have grown frustrated with the constant uncertainty surrounding their favorite player. The silence has been deafening, and in that silence, rumors have flourished like wildfire. Then Sophie Cunningham stepped into that void with a single sentence that changed everything. On her podcast, without fanfare or dramatic build-up, she delivered the words that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. She could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA. Those 8 words weren't just another injury update. They were an indictment of an entire system, a revelation that cuts to the heart of what's really keeping Caitlin Clark off the court. Sophie wasn't suggesting that Clark was soft or unprepared. She was revealing something far more disturbing, that the environment Clark is trying to return to is so unforgiving, so brutally demanding, that even a generational talent needs more time just to survive it. At Iowa, Caitlin Clark was untouchable. She dominated college basketball with a combination of range, vision, and basketball IQ that made her appointment television. She filled arenas, broke records, and became the face of women's college basketball. Her success seemed effortless, her dominance complete. But Sophie's revelation exposed an uncomfortable truth. None of that guarantees success in the WNBA. The professional league isn't just a step up from college basketball. It's an entirely different universe. Sophie made it clear that in the WNBA, being good isn't enough. Being great isn't enough. You have to be flawless, or the league will destroy you. And if you're not ready, physically, mentally, emotionally, rushing back could end not just your season, but your entire career. Sophie's words painted a picture of a league that has evolved beyond recognition, and not necessarily for the better. The WNBA has become something that even its brightest stars struggle to navigate safely. When Sophie described the current state of the WNBA, she didn't mince words. This isn't the league that casual fans see on highlight reels. This is a basketball ecosystem that has become so intensely competitive, so physically demanding, that it borders on unsustainable. Every player who makes a roster was once the best player in their program, the superstar who dominated every level of competition before reaching the pros. There are no easy matchups, no weak links, no nights off. The physicality has reached levels that shock even veteran players. Sophie has described games that feel more like rugby matches than basketball contests. The contact is constant, brutal, and often overlooked by officials who have seemingly decided to let players police themselves. She's talked about needing armor just to survive a season, about hits that would draw ejections in other leagues being treated as routine basketball plays. For a player returning from injury, this environment is terrifying. In most professional leagues, stars are carefully managed back into action. They get minutes restrictions, extra protection from referees, and time to find their rhythm. But the WNBA doesn't offer that luxury. The margin for error is razor thin. One moment of hesitation, one sign of vulnerability, and the relentless physicality can end a comeback before it even begins. Sophie revealed that the league demands complete readiness or nothing at all. There's no middle ground, no gradual return to form. Players arrive fully prepared to handle the intensity, or they get swallowed whole by a system that shows no mercy to anyone, regardless of their star power or potential. This evolution has created a league so demanding that even Caitlin Clark, someone who dominated every previous level of competition, needs extra time just to prepare for what awaits her. It's not about her talent or her toughness. It's about the sheer brutality of what the WNBA has become. But the physicality was only part of Sophie's shocking revelation. What she exposed next was even more disturbing. A two-tier system of justice that protects some players while leaving others to fend for themselves. Sophie's frustration wasn't just with the league's intensity. It was with how that intensity was selectively applied. Some stars, she revealed, seemed to play wrapped in invisible protection, with referees quick to blow whistles and assess technical fouls for even the slightest contact. Others face relentless physicality with little help from officials, forced to absorb punishment that would draw immediate intervention if it happened to the league's favored players. The examples Sophie cited were damning. She described watching Paige Buchers in games where you literally couldn't touch her without drawing a foul. Meanwhile, other players face constant contact with no relief. This isn't about talent or skill level. It's about favoritism, about a league that has decided certain players deserve protection while others must earn it through suffering. Caitlin Clark's treatment became the perfect example of this inequality. Despite being the player who fills arenas, who drives television ratings, who has brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA, she hasn't received the protection that should come with superstar status. Instead, she's been thrown into the fire, subjected to the kind of physical treatment that would end careers if sustained over time. Sophie witnessed incidents that should have resulted in ejections reduced to minor infractions. She saw blatant fouls dismissed as incidental contact. She watched as officials explained away dangerous plays by claiming they didn't meet undefined thresholds for serious penalties. The message was clear: Clark was on her own. That unequal treatment reached a breaking point during one particularly brutal game. After watching Clark absorb hit after hit with no intervention from officials, Sophie decided to send her own message. When an opposing player went up for what should have been an easy layup, Sophie dragged her down deliberately, unapologetically. It wasn't a basketball play. It was retaliation, a statement that if the league wouldn't protect their star, her teammates would. Sophie's act of defiance represented years of frustration boiling over. Years of watching officials ignore dangerous hits. Years of seeing favoritism shape outcomes. Years of witnessing a system that preached integrity while practicing selective justice. Her foul wasn't just about that single moment. It was about forcing the league to confront its own hypocrisy. But perhaps the most shocking revelation in Sophie's expose wasn't about physicality or favoritism. It was about the wall of silence surrounding Caitlin Clark's current condition. In her podcast, Sophie dropped a bombshell that stunned even her most dedicated listeners. When pressed about Clark's recovery timeline, about insider information that fans assumed teammates would have, Sophie admitted something remarkable. "I just literally don't know." The league's biggest star is shrouded in such secrecy that even fellow players are kept in the dark about her status. This level of information control is unprecedented in professional sports. When LeBron James has an injury, the NBA releases detailed reports. When Patrick Mahomes is questionable for a game, NFL fans get daily updates. Even college sports, with all their amateur restrictions, provide general timelines for their stars. But the WNBA has wrapped Caitlin Clark's situation in a veil of secrecy that raises more questions than it answers. Think about what Sophie was revealing. Here's a player who competes at the highest level, who faces the same opponents, who understands the league's demands better than any fan or reporter, and she has no more information about Clark's status than someone scrolling through social media. That's not normal. That's not transparent. That's deliberate. The vague official responses, day by day, no update at this time, we'll see next week, aren't just frustrating fans. They're creating an information vacuum that breeds speculation, conspiracy theories, and growing distrust of the league's motives. When professional organizations stop communicating clearly about their biggest assets, people start asking uncomfortable questions. Is the silence about protecting Clark's privacy? Is it an attempt to avoid panic among sponsors and television partners? Or is it part of a deeper pattern of secrecy that includes fining players for honesty and hiding officiating inconsistencies? Sophie's admission suggests that the WNBA's information blackout is so complete that it extends even to the players themselves.